where now the trend is lower. I mentioned the fact that the news this morning coming out of China did prop things up a little bit. We'll have to see if that becomes a more pronounced theme. But for now, prices have come off about 70 cents per pound on the London Metal Exchange. And again, all that's coming from the things we already talked about, which is growing recessionary fears within, I would say, North America and Europe, and perhaps emerging markets. And then a lockdown China. Those two factors combined created a pretty ugly situation for demand of base metals. And you can see that very pronounced here within this chart. This is a 5-year chart. One thing we have not discussed before is shown down on the bottom, and I apologize if it's a little difficult to see, but what we're looking at down at the bottom of this chart, and I'll show it for nickel and copper as well, this is called the relative strength index. And then, again, Nick likes charts. This is a chart or visual way to look at basically how bullish or bearish is the market. A lot of traders use this as kind of a contrarian indicator that if things are getting sold off extremely hard and on a relative strength index basis, per this chart, things get below 30 on an RSI, perhaps that means that things are getting a little oversold. To coin the Warren Buffett term, maybe there's blood in the streets, and that's the time to be bullish on a market. You can see that it really doesn't happen too often that aluminum prices drop so far so fast that you dip below that green line, which is a 30 of an RSI of 30. It happened back in the COVID lockdowns. It happened once, let's say about 6-7 months ago, when we started to see the new variants post Thanksgiving of 2021. But again, it doesn't happen too often, and we have recently seen the RSI dip below 30. So again, this is not investment advice. I'm not saying pile in and buy all the aluminum futures you can, but from a technical standpoint, it does look as though the market is pretty oversold as we sit here today. You can always go deeper into oversold territory, and when I show you the copper chart, you'll see that. And even if you look back to the COVID lockdowns back in 2020, we did go deeper into oversold territory. But this is just one potential indicator that one could use to kind of try to see where a trough may be in some of these markets.
Hey, Nick, real quick, is the energy crunch starting to hit aluminum here? Because I did notice that announcement recently, Century Aluminum closing.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, and I apologize for skipping over it. Yeah, what Mike's talking about is Century Aluminum probably 2-3 weeks ago, and I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised that it happened there of all places, because as we discussed a few slides ago, if we think we're having energy issues, well, they're probably 5 to 10 times worse over in Europe. So if it was going to start anywhere, I actually would have expected it to be over there first. But what transpired was Hawesville, which is one of the locations of Century Aluminum's smelting activity, they basically said because of high power prices, they can't continue to make aluminum profitably, and they were shutting down. I believe it was for a duration of at least 6 to 9 months. It may have been indefinite, but those are, coming back to that phrase I mentioned, which is energy is a wrecking ball. Those are the types of things that unfortunately, we can hike interest rates as far as we want, but if power prices stay high just because of shortage situations, then you're going to start wrecking the supply side of the equation further. And yeah, those things are real risks. And again, I think here within North America, that is a potential. I know that Harbor Aluminum had mentioned New Madrid as being another potential entity who might have to have curtailments or shutdowns. But yeah, I mean, within Europe, if any of these producers have to go back to a power company and renegotiate their contracts, good luck, because they're not going to be able to sell aluminum at a profitable level that will allow them to make money if they have to reset their power prices in this market.
So just to confirm, are the energy prices being reflected in the price of aluminum now, or increases?
So I think I would say short answer is the spot prices of energy are not being reflected in aluminum. But the reality is a lot of these aluminum companies have long-term power contracts, so they aren't subject to the spot price in many instances. But no, I mean, if every producer was, let's say their power company said, we're not honoring these contracts and you have to buy off the spot market, absolutely, aluminum prices are not where they would be. you would probably have to see substantially higher aluminum in order to be able to make it profitably.
Makes sense. Okay.